Have you ever felt like you're playing a game of whack-a-mole at work? You solve one problem, and another one just pops right back up. It's frustrating, right? Well, that's a classic sign that you're just treating symptoms, not the actual disease. Today, we're going to unpack a tool that is so simple, it's brilliant. A framework that top consultants use to get past the noise and find the real root of any problem. The 5 whys.
All right, so here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll talk about the trap that so many of us fall into, fighting symptoms instead of causes. Then, we'll get into the framework itself, the 5 whys. After that, we'll walk through the playbook, how to actually use it. And then, super important, we'll cover its limitations. We'll wrap it all up by thinking about your next why.
So, first things first, let's really frame the problem that makes a technique like the 5 whys so incredibly useful.
This is the million-dollar question, isn't it? So many teams pour endless time, money, and energy into what are basically just Band-Aid solutions. They're patching up the obvious cracks, but totally missing the fact that the foundation is weak. This is the symptom versus cause trap, and honestly, it's one of the biggest reasons for wasted effort and stalled progress.
So how do we get out of this trap? Let's move on to the solution. It's a framework that looks almost too simple on the surface, but it has a seriously impressive history.
What I love about this is how beautifully simple it is. We're not talking about some crazy algorithm or a statistical model here. The real power comes from being disciplined and asking that one simple, powerful question, why, over and over again. You're basically building a chain of logic, one link at a time until you get to the source.
And this technique is the real deal. It's not some new business buzzword. It was born on the factory floor of Toyota way back in the 1930s, developed by their founder, Sakichi Toyoda. It became a cornerstone of the legendary Toyota production system. And today, it's a key part of super rigorous methods like Six Sigma. This thing has been battle-tested for almost a century.
So, what's the deal with the number 5? Is it magic? Not really. Think of it more as a rule of thumb. What people found over the years is that it usually takes about 5 whys to get past the surface-level stuff and really uncover a core process problem. The real goal isn't to hit 5 exactly, it's to keep asking until you've found the real root cause that you can't question any further. Sometimes it's 3 whys, sometimes it might be 7.
Okay, theory is great, but execution is everything. So let's switch gears and talk about how you actually put this into practice. How do you run the 5 whys playbook with your team?
Here's the playbook, step by step. First, you got to get the right people in the room. A team with different perspectives who actually know the process you're looking at. Second, you have to agree on exactly what the problem is. Be super clear. Third, that's the fun part. You start asking why over and over. Fourth, once you've nailed the root cause, you develop what are called countermeasures to fix it. And finally, you watch and measure to make sure the problem really, truly went away for good.
Now, when you get to that third step, the actual asking, there are a couple of ways to go. The single-lane approach is great for simpler problems where you're pretty sure there's one direct cause and effect chain. But for more complicated stuff, the multi-lane approach is way better. It lets you explore a few different possible reasons at each why, kind of like mapping out different paths before you decide which one to go down.
And to really see how powerful this is, let's look at a classic real-world example. It shows just how unexpected the real root cause can be.
So the problem was pretty serious. The stone on the Jefferson Memorial was literally crumbling away, way faster than it should have been. That was the big, visible symptom. So the team got together and asked the first, most obvious question, why?
Okay, so the first answer they found was that the maintenance crews were using really harsh chemicals to wash the monument all the time. Now, an inexperienced team might just stop right there. The solution seems obvious. Just use gentler soap, right? But that's a classic trap. That's just another symptom. A good team knows they have to keep digging, so they ask the second why.
This next question is so important. It shifts the focus from what they were doing, the cleaning, to why they were doing it. There's always a reason for an action, and the team needed to understand that reason.
An answer? Birds. Lots and lots of birds. Their droppings are really acidic and were just coating the monument, which is why the crews had to clean it so often with those harsh chemicals. Okay, another tempting place to stop. The new solution is to get rid of the birds, right? Put up nets or spikes. But we're still just chasing symptoms. We have to ask, why are all the birds there to begin with?
And just like that, the investigation completely changes direction. This isn't a maintenance problem anymore. It's turned into an ecology puzzle. What was it about this one particular building that was attracting so many birds?
Well, the plot thickens.
Turns out, the birds weren't there for the beautiful architecture. They were there for an all-you-can-eat buffet of spiders. So the problem wasn't really the birds. The birds were just another link in the chain. The new target is the spiders. So, you guessed it, we ask again.
We're just following the food chain down, right? It's all about sticking to the process. Just like the birds, the spiders weren't there by accident. They were there because the memorial was giving them a ton of food. So, what were the spiders eating?
We're getting so close. The answer was these tiny little insects called midges. They were swarming the memorial in huge clouds every evening. So the midges attracted the spiders attracted the birds left droppings, the droppings led to harsh cleaning, and the cleaning was destroying the stone. We are right on the edge of the real root cause. We just need one final why.
This is it, the fifth and final question. This is the one that takes us out of the food chain and into how the memorial was actually being run day to day. Something about the building's operations had to be the magnet for all these insects. What was it?
And there it is, the real root cause. It had absolutely nothing to do with cleaning products or pest control. It was an operational choice. The big, powerful lights illuminating the monument were being turned on right at dusk, which happens to be prime time for midges. The memorial was basically a giant bug zapper in reverse. And the solution, the countermeasure, was brilliantly simple and cheap. They just changed the light timers to turn on an hour later. That's it. The whole food chain collapsed and all the symptoms disappeared.
But look, every great consultant knows the limits of their tools. The 5 whys is an amazing technique, as we just saw, but it's not a silver bullet. You can't use it for everything.
Knowing when not to use a tool is just as important as knowing when to use it. The 5 whys has its limits. First, it totally depends on the knowledge of the people in the room. If they don't know the process, you won't get good answers. Second, if you don't have a good facilitator leading the discussion, it's really easy to stop too early. And maybe most importantly, for super complex, high-stakes problems, I'm talking plane crashes or medical errors, the 5 whys just isn't enough. It's fantastic for finding a single root cause, not for untangling complex system failures.
And this is a really key idea. The whole point of the 5 whys is to lead you to a countermeasure, not just a solution. What's the difference? Well, a solution might just treat a symptom, like using a gentler cleaning chemical at the memorial. A countermeasure, on the other hand, is designed to make sure the root cause never happens again, like changing the light schedule. The goal isn't just to get better at cleaning up the mess, it's to design a process where the mess never gets made in the first place.
So, let's bring this all home. What's the big idea we should all take away from this?
At the end of the day, the 5 whys isn't just a technique you pull out of a toolbox. It's really a mindset. It's a commitment to being curious and a refusal to just accept the easy, surface-level answer. So the question I want to leave you with is this. When you think about your work, your team, your company, what's that one big nagging problem that just won't go away? And are you sure? Are you really sure you've asked why enough times to find out what's actually causing it?